Alright, gonna do a little unboxing video of this Luck Tarzan box. This is actually a new version of their G sensor that they offered a few years ago. It's since been updated. Technology changes, so either the parts that they were using are now unavailable, or they just simply improved upon the actual product and to the point where they felt it was important to release a new version. So we're going to unbox it. It's pretty simple in terms of what should be in here. I don't expect there to be a ton, to be honest. The box is fairly light, so we'll see. So, kind of like I said, not too much in here. Got the adapter harness right here. So this will plug into the unit, and then this is the actual unit here, which is taped down. Pull that off. And granted, I've got small hands, but this is not a very big box at all. This is maybe 1.5 inches by 1.25 inches. Very small. It doesn't need to be big. It just needs to actually do the job. And then in this looks like the adhesive that they want you to use to adhere to whatever, and some instructions. Looks like some settings. So we'll pause this, and then I'll pull this out of the box, or packaging rather, and we'll take a look at it. Alright, and we're back. So this sheet of paper is in English and Japanese, and then the instructions are in Japanese, but Google Translate makes pretty quick work of that. So as you can see, it has TZ on it to indicate the Tarzan box. You can buy the standard one. It is significantly cheaper. It's about $100 and some odd cheaper. I figured if I was buying something, I would just go ahead and buy the one that had been tuned. And it didn't make much sense to buy the same product twice or find out that it was not what I wanted. So if you look at it, it has different settings. Let's see, you can zoom. No, probably not. But anyways, dip switches, and you set the dip switches based on what you want it to do. Let's see. There we go. So currently it came from the factory set. It looks like it's set to the circuit mode, which is switch A. Oh, I'm sorry. No, no, I was right. It's set the circuit. Switch A is off, and then switch B is on. I'll probably switch that to street and see what it does first. I know these boxes come from Luck default normally. Interesting either way. So I guess we'll take a look and see what it does. It's got a few things on here. It looks like a programming port for the actual unit. This is, interestingly enough, all through 3D printed, which makes sense. Small production piece. You don't want to spend a ton of money, developing an actual box for it, and just print them off. It looks like little screws to hold it all together. And little standoffs must be threaded. And then there's the main connector for the harness. So let's see. Here's the harness. These are plugs that, as you can see, the G sensor for the factory setup. These just simply plug into that harness, and then they tell you to either double-sided tape it to the G sensor that exists in the car already, or just take it out and then use double-sided tape. And presumably, zip ties are included to secure the harness, and if not just included to secure the harness, then to actually zip tie the sensor down in place, which I've seen done before. So I guess what we'll do now is I will take apart my car, and we'll see what we can do with that. And I'll try to do some step-by-step with that. Obviously doing it one-handed it's a little difficult, but whatever. Okay, and we're back. So 33 GT-R, nothing super crazy. Pretty stock in here. If you've never taken apart one of these center consoles, it's very easy. But people tend to ham-fist it and end up destroying things. And, well, these things aren't exactly the cheapest things to get parts for, so take care. It's not hard. So set your e-brake. Unscrew your shift knob. There goes the light. Okay, there's that. I want to take your ashtray out. It's kind of dark, but there is 2 screws in there. So I'm going to pause this for a second. I'm going to take those screws out. Alright, so I removed those 2 screws. So easiest way to get this out is kind of reach in the shift boot like here, pull up here, and just pull this out of the way very gently. So you can disconnect this to cigarette lighter if you want. You don't have to do that, but it certainly makes things easier. So next step, we've got some more screws to take out. So you have a screw here, and then a screw here. And then you'll open up the center console, and then you pull out the little foam bit in here if you have it. Not everybody does. And then there's 2 screws there. So grand total of 4 screws. Nothing crazy. And then you want to come around to the front, and if you look down here, there is a little snap. So you want to kind of do that one, and there's another one further up. That way you can actually get the shifter, the e-brake assembly, and the center console out. So I'm going to pause the video and take those screws out, and I'm going to replace the light and the battery, or battery and the light, and we'll carry on. And we're back. So center console out, and now you can see the G sensor as factory. So 32s and 33s use the same sensors. 34s use a slightly different sensor, but they all kind of work on the same principle. So this is an electromechanical device, believe it or not. It has little pendulums suspended in oil. It's not really the fastest responding thing in the world, which is why you're buying the Duloc G sensor upgrade, because you actually want a slightly better response. So to get this out, very simple. You know, we just unplug these things here. Yep. Good old Nissan connectors are terrible. Alright, and then just pull that out of the way. And then, very simply, 10mm wrench. All right. There's one. And then there's one over here. Let's see. You want to go on? It doesn't quite go. Open-ended it is. Okay. Loosened enough that we should get this out with our fingers, like so. Alright. Fuzz. And then this lifts out like this. And be very careful with this. They're expensive. And if it's still in good shape and works, you don't want to necessarily damage it. As you can see here, a little warning indicator that, oh, if you dropped it, you gotta throw it away. So these are expensive, so don't do that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take it out of the car, and then, I see. Interesting. I was gonna say we were just gonna unbolt this, but it is actually a whole assembly. It's like, look, the caps are swedged onto it, and it's bolted through it. So I'd rather not do that. So we'll just install it the way that Duloc says to install it. So we'll scrape this tag off, and then that way the double-sided tape has something good to adhere to, and then we'll zip tie it. But we'll take it over to the table to do this. So put us on pause again and walk over to the workbench and do some things over there. And back over by the bench. So very carefully use the razor blade to remove the sticker, because, you know, it's nice to keep things even if you don't plan on using them ever again. We have the part number in case anybody ever asks, you know, sell the car, whatever. All these parts are here, and I got the original stuff. It's there. So this is just some double-sided tape. It goes on like that. And then all we do is adhere the new G sensor in place right here, like that. And then we add a little bit of wiring into it, and away we go. At least that's the theory. So, quick pause, and then back to... Alright, so I've reinstalled the sensor assembly back into the car. Make sure it's good and tight, snug your bolts up. And then really all that's left is to connect the sensor connectors, which kind of hard to screw up. So let's see if I can do this one-handed. Not sure the keying is up all the way around, of course. Okay, there's that. And then there's that. And then I guess it just kind of hangs out, something like that. Not really ideal. We might actually end up being able to push the old ones off. Yeah, maybe. Alright, I'm gonna fidget with this for a second, so we'll see what I come up with. Alright, this is kind of the final installation. So I ended up actually just removing the factory connectors, and then kind of zip tying down a little bit lower, and then using the existing bracket to attach the connectors. It's a little tidier of an installation, makes things look a little bit nicer. It's stuff that literally nobody's going to see, but I know it's there, so, bonus things. So make sure that everything's tucked out of the way, it's not going to rub or abrade on anything, your new wiring is in good shape and location, that way you don't accidentally cause an issue that you could have easily avoided, because that's never fun. The game sucks, actually. And then that way it should just work. So reassembly is reverse of installation, so just step backwards, put the screws back in where you found them, and you should be good to go. So we'll see what this does. We're gonna go from there. Okay, well, turns out that this thing doesn't fit in my center console with the option package I have in my car. So I will actually have to remove the original sensor. So bend the tabs back, remove the 4 bolts here. There's a nut there. And then hopefully that comes off. But if you ever want to see the inside of one of these things, they're kind of interesting. The old technology that Nissan came up with. These are analog G sensors. And inside these little plastic casings are a couple of pendulums submerged in oil. You can see the actual sealing part at the top there, the little bolts. This is actually the top cover for the assemblies, and it's got ribbon cables that go through it. Kind of crazy. I think all this was designed in 87, 88 for the 89 model year GT-R. It's pretty wild. So we'll get this off and then get the new sensor reinstalled. Alright, so now it's off the case. You can see the actual little pots that the pendulums sit in. So X, Y, and presumably Z axis acceleration. I'm not really sure what the third one is, but that's what I expect to be in there. So put this off to the side, safe place. It still works. Rather not destroy it. I mean, even if we're upgrading it, it's still nice to have the original parts to come back to, just in case. So left with the base plate, remember your orientation. This is forward to the car, so we want to make sure that when we install the new sensor on it, we install the sensor on here like so, and make sure it's nice and square to the car and the correct axis so that we maintain our orientations. So what I'm going to do is clean this and then put some new double-sided tape down on it, and I will adhere it and secure it and then reinstall in the car. Okay, final install. So just zip tied everything out of the way so it works and stays nicely out of the way. It kind of sucks how to use some 3M double-sided tape instead of stuff that Dulux supplied. Their stuff is this strange jelly-like adhesive. Probably is a little bit better for vibration dampening, but oh well, it is what it is. So reassemble it now. Again, making sure that everything's free, not touching, not going to chafe, because there are a few points that you can possibly chafe through. and might cause some problems in the future. So again, everything's all nice connected, all tightened up, all tidy. Use a pair of side cutters, unlike all the psychopaths that cut these things with dikes and cut them diagonally, and then you cut the shit out of yourself. It sucks. So, addendum to the video, if you have a S133 GT-R, it might not fit. So, now put it back together and see what it do. Drive it.